Welcome to the Western Association for College Admission Counseling Virtual College Fair. Thank you so much for joining us today. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is one of a few different sessions happening today, so make sure that you attend the other sessions after this if there are other institutions of interest to you. And this presentation, along with all of the events today, are being recorded and will be available within about a week at stridescan.com/WACAC. I'm now going to turn it over to our main event, our presenters, and we're going to kick off today's event with hearing from the University of Strathclyde. Whenever you're ready.
Hi everyone, just give me a moment until I share my screen. So quick introduction, my name's Ashley and I work at the University of Strathclyde. So for anyone who isn't familiar with the University of Strathclyde, we are based in lovely Scotland in downtown Glasgow. So this first slide that you can see here is a lovely bird's eye view of Glasgow city centre in the heart of it. And our campus is just a few minutes walk away, so everything is at your doorstep. So if you haven't been to Glasgow before, just for some background information, we are the third largest city in the UK and the largest in Scotland with about 1 million people. We have 6 universities in total and a student population of around 170,000. We are consistently voted friendliest city in the world. This is feedback that we get from our students as well, each and every single year. We also have excellent transport links. We have 2 international airports connecting Glasgow with the rest of the world and a 1-hour flight to London as well. So if you want to do some travelling whilst you're here, that's easy enough to do. So what's been going on in Glasgow lately? So we were part of the Athletic Championships in 2019. We were also joint host of the European Championships back in 2018. We were host city for the Commonwealth Games, and we have festivals throughout the year, such as Merchant City, the World Piping Championships as well. So there's really something for everyone. It's a great atmosphere in Glasgow. So just some background information about the university ourselves. So we were founded in 1796. We have a rich history of teaching and innovation. We're located in the centre of Glasgow, Scotland's largest city, and we're home to students from over 100 different countries. We are QS 5-star rated in all areas. And in terms of awards, we were winner of the Times Higher Education UK University of the Year in 2019. And this was actually the second time that we won this award. We won this back in 2012 as well. Most recently, we were the winner of the Queen's Anniversary Prize for Higher and Further Education, and we've also climbed 36 places in the Guardian's University Guide, so we're currently 15th in the UK. So for undergraduate study, we have a range of different options offering huge choice and flexibility. So we have over 200 course combinations. There's also opportunities to combine subjects from different departments and faculties. All of our degrees are 4 years with honours, and we also have integrated master's degrees within our engineering and science faculties, which are 5 years. So we have 4 faculties here at the university. So the first one here is the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences. So Strathclyde does model the US system in the way that there's lots of flexibility for students to choose what subjects they want to focus on in their first and second year, and then they can either do a joint or single honours degree. So in your first year, you can choose 3 subjects in year 1 from across the whole faculty. There's no gen eds, you can choose what you want to study. Popular subjects include creative writing, journalism, media and communications, international relations and politics. We also have a multi-award winning law clinic, which was founded in 2003, which gives students the opportunity to actually work within the law clinic and get that practical experience. This next slide is just a breakdown of what the degree structure looks like. So as I mentioned, you can choose your 3 subjects in first year. Your second year, you would choose 2 out of those 3 subjects, And in your final third and fourth year, you can then choose to do a single or joint honours degree. So this is great for students who aren't quite sure what they want to focus their degree on yet. So there's lots of flexibility there. Moving on to our second faculty, we have our business school. So our business school, you can actually choose 5 subjects in your first year, and then again, choose what you want to major in your final years. We are actually only one of 88 business schools across the world to be triple accredited, so you can be assured that your business degree will be recognised by employers across the world. Our third faculty is our Faculty of Science, and as I mentioned, we have 4-year BSc or 5-year integrated masters as an option. We have more specialist degrees as well in immunology, biochemistry, microbiology and pharmacology. We're home to the UK's first Fraunhofer Research Centre, and we also have a chemistry clinic, which is a student-led consultancy working with entrepreneurs that have brand new ideas right through to supporting school students as well. And as with most of our, or all of our faculties, there are opportunities to study abroad for students as well. Moving on to our final faculty, we have our engineering. So our engineering faculty is one of the largest in Scotland. Similar to science, there's 4-year bachelor's and 5-year masters. We have such a large engineering faculty that we have your standard engineering subjects such as electronic and electrical, but we also have more specialist areas as well, for example, aeromechanical and architecture as well. We have extremely strong industry links with Rolls-Royce, Boeing, Airbus and Iberdrola. And again, there's opportunities to study abroad as well. So moving on to the application process, you'll be familiar with UCAS. So with UCAS, you can apply for up to 5 course choices across 5 universities throughout the whole of the UK. The international deadline is the 30th of June. And for entry requirements, we would ask for a minimum 3.0 in your high school diploma. However, for entry in 2021, we are test optional. So if you're unsure whether you would meet the entry requirements, you can send us your transcripts and we'll review these for you. But for example, historically, we have maybe looked for AP honours, but recently we'll now look for honour classes if you can't complete any of your examinations on time for starting. Whether that will continue after 2021, we're still to confirm that. If you're planning on applying after 2021, please get in touch with us and we can keep you up to date with that. So the great thing about Glasgow is it's actually probably one of the cheapest cities throughout the UK. So I normally tell students to budget between $10,000 and $13,000. We do have faculty scholarships available, anything of up to £5,000. These are partial scholarships that are deducted from your total tuition fees. And tuition fees range from around $20,700 up to about $29,000 per academic year. And just to make you aware, the scholarships are also available per academic year as well. We do have housing on campus, so it's apartment style living with private bedrooms. The cost varies from about £104. This is inclusive of your utility bills, so you won't pay anything extra, and you will have Wi-Fi included and your gas, your electricity. It does include access to our Strathclyde Sports Centre, and as part of the screening, you will be asked a list of questions such as whether you want to live with other females, males, and what your general hobbies and interests are, and our accommodation office will do their best to match you up with other students that have similar interests as yourself. So moving on to the last slide, we have something called Strathlife here at the university, and this is just all of the different services that are available on campus. So we do have an international student support centre. We have maths and study skills support, student counselling available on campus. We also have our career service, which offers one-to-one advice for CV, interview preparation, and there's opportunities to take part in graduate careers as your degree is coming to an end, and it's an opportunity to network with prospective employers, which is of course important. And we also have our Strathclyde Sports Centre that I mentioned, which was recently opened in 2018. If you're quite athletic and you like to keep fit, this is great for students. We have a 25-metre swimming pool. We have a sports union with over 50 clubs, over 50, I think, clubs and societies. And we have lots of different fitness classes to get involved within as well. So these are our contact details here. So after today, if you have any questions at all, please do feel free to get in touch.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That was great to hear from the University of Strathclyde. We're now going to hear from the University of Melbourne whenever you are ready.
Okay, good day, everyone. I'm Todd St. Vrain from the University of Melbourne. Thanks for joining us here. So let's take a trip down under. Welcome to UniMelb, or as we say in the local Aboriginal language, Wominjeka. So Melbourne is a large public research-intensive university located in the southern part of Australia. And as you can see, we are a comprehensive university offering a wide range of disciplines that many of which excel at the global level. So this is the beautiful Great Barrier Reef, which is about a 4-hour flight north of Melbourne. And imagine taking classes with Madeline Van Oppel, who is bioengineering heat-resistant coral in an effort to save the Great Barrier Reef. So I think this is a great example of the academic experience you can have that really about having brilliant minds who want to make a difference in the world. And we are regarded as an Australian version as an Ivy League. This is our main campus, which is right in the heart of Melbourne, about 15 minutes from downtown, sandwiched in between the biomedical precinct and a walking distance to our version of Little Italy. So coming to Melbourne means a chance to be a global citizen. I went as a graduate student from the States, and what I love about Australia is a very multicultural society with a lot of diversity. So like all Australian universities, we are quite large with 25,000 undergraduates and an equal number of graduate students, with nearly 40% of our students coming from around the world. The American community is smaller, probably several hundred students a year. So there is an American community there if you so wish. In terms of your outcomes from doing an undergraduate degree, a very great success in terms of employability. And also all international students have the ability to stay and work in Australia for 2 years. So this is just going to give you options as to where you can start your career. We talk about affordable access to excellence. So our degrees are just 3 years, and that's standard in Australia. Your tuition would be listed in Australian dollars, and at the current exchange rate is going to be about 33,000 US dollars a year. Melbourne is an expensive city, just as is San Francisco and LA. And so you could estimate probably about another 20,000 US dollars for living costs. You can use US educational loans at Melbourne, and we do have scholarships for high achieving students. Now, your admissions is going to be based just on your academic achievements, so no personal statements or extracurriculars, and we'll get into the details of the specifics shortly. And you're doing all of this in truly what's one of the most livable cities in the world, a city of about 4 million people, known as Australia's cultural and sports capital, with easy access to some really stunning nature. So we have streamlined our degrees into 8 options, and yeah, there's like 150 choices of majors and minors, and that could be within the Bachelor of Agriculture. We also have a veterinary school at the graduate level. We call arts as liberal arts in the States, and I've put here in bold some of the more popular majors. An entire degree in biomedicine for those who with interest in health. We also have graduate schools of medicine and dentistry, physiotherapy. We call business commerce in Australia. And there's also design, which could be everything from architecture to graphic design. We also have a number of degrees and majors in the fine arts, as well as music. and a plethora in the sciences, including engineering and IT. And Melbourne is regarded as the Silicon Valley of biotechnology. So quite a range of options. Now, we call degrees courses in Australia. So if you would like to explore your options, just go to our Find a Course page, because your interest could be certainly in more than one major and also more than one degree. Now, our curriculum is unique. So in other Australian and other foreign universities, you tend to focus just on your studies without any general ed, whereas in the United States, you could have up to 2 years of general education. We'd like to think that we're the best of both worlds, in that 25% of your degree, of your 3-year degree, is going to be called breadth subjects, anything of your choosing outside of your degree. So we think this is a great way for you to choose, explore your interests, a flexibility as to declaring a major, and also even a way to build your own minor. If you want to extend to a 4th year, you could do that through what we call a concurrent diploma in certain disciplines like languages, and computers, and math, or you could extend for an optional 4th year honors, which is a year of independent research. We also offer research subjects within the 3-year degree. Now, this is the entry requirements coming from a US high school diploma, where it's guaranteed entry if it's an SAT or ACT, a minimum GPA that's unweighted. We also have AP exams, not for credit, but to make prerequisites. And these will vary slightly per degree. We are not test optional, but we are test alternative, so that you could either present to online, the Australian Standardized Test STAT, or an aggregate of AP scores. And also, if you are not presenting an AP exam, really the only option would be to present a dual credit, like a university level, a college level subject to meet the prerequisite. We also take the IB, guaranteed entry, based on a minimum score. If there's any transfer students out there, it's really straightforward. It's just a 3.0 GPA. Now, it's different down under. Our seasons are opposite, and so are our semesters. So we started semester 1 in first week of March. Semester 2 starts last week of July. Graduating from the States in either May or June, you could either start in either semester, because we offer the core subjects every semester. Most Australians would begin at the beginning of the year, but you're really not at a disadvantage. Our admission deadlines are a bit different, so we do offer rolling admission. So my advice is just apply when you're applying to the US universities, and we can take it from there. Any Australians out there, how and when you apply is a bit different from everyone else. But for all students, we do give you the option to defer. It's quite automatic in Australia, and that gives you the opportunity to possibly do a mini gap year. So we do guarantee accommodation, whether it's in a college, which is our version of a dorm, or student apartments. You're not required to live on campus. Certainly, part of uni life are clubs and societies as part of the experience. So we'll end with a brief tour. Australia is about the size of the United States, and we're in the southern parts. We do have 4 seasons, sometimes 4 seasons in a day. Again, our main campus, which is a mixture of beautiful sandstone buildings and wide open spaces, very modern facilities. So some classes will have very large lectures, because we're a large university. However, in Australia, every class is supplemented with a weekly tutorial, which is a small group discussion of, say, 20 students, or a lab, so there still is that chance for personal interaction. Certainly labs, no campus tour is complete without stopping at our underground car park, because it's featured in things like Mad Max and MasterChef, just a way to say that there's always something interesting going on campus. And again, the city of Melbourne, this is classic Melbourne, a funky laneways with live music and art scene. We're certainly a city of sport and easy access to the nature. So I'm based in San Francisco, so please get in contact if you'd like further information, set up a one-on-one meeting. Thanks so much for your time, and I'll turn it back over to our host.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, University of Melbourne. We are going to hear now from the University of Stirling, Scotland. whenever you are ready.
Thanks, Jeannie. I'm just sharing my screen. Okay. Hopefully you can all see that. Jeannie can just give me a nod.
Looks
Yes,
great.
okay, thumbs up, great, okay. I'm Ali Clark. I am Head of Student Recruitment at the University of Stirling. So you're actually getting a Scottish sandwich here. We've got the University of Strathclyde with Ashley that started, and after Todd, another Scottish university. So Stirling, I'll tell you a little bit about Stirling. The difference between Stirling and Strathclyde is we are a purpose-built campus university. So it's a beautiful parkland campus, and it's about 10 minutes outside the city centre of Stirling. What can I say to you about Stirling? Well, it's a very much a medium-sized university in Scotland. It's got 14,000 students and over 120 different nationalities represented, and that's in our student body as well as our staff as well. In terms of some of the accolades that we've received recently, one of the ones that we're most proud of is UK Sports University of the Year, so that was last year, and we're also well known as Scotland's University for Sporting Excellence too. Another one that we're exceptionally proud of is a high ranking, so we're in the top 20 in the UK for student satisfaction. Every year there's something called the NSS, which is the National Student Survey, and that's students that get to vote about their student experience, about their teaching. So this is high praise indeed to be ranked in the top 20 in the UK. Other things include we've got a very high graduate employment rate, so 95% of our graduates within the first 6 months of graduating are either in graduate type employment or they've gone on to further studies to do a master's. For those of you that aren't sure where Stirling is, it's very much in the heart of Scotland. It is a gateway to the Highlands, so for those of you that want to find out more about Loch Ness Monster or want to go searching for the Loch Ness Monster, or indeed want to get involved in hill climbing or water sports, it's easy access to the Highlands, but it's also very close to the two largest cities in Scotland, one of which Ashley obviously talked about earlier, which is Glasgow. So it's about 25 minutes from Glasgow and about 40 minutes from Edinburgh. Excellent transport links as well. So, and unlike Australia, the UK is a lot smaller than the USA, so much easier to get around and go and visit different places at weekends or when you've got some time off as well. So this is our beautiful campus that I was talking about. It's 330 acres, and it's probably unique in the fact that I can't imagine there's any other universities that have a loch, which is the lake in the middle of the picture that you're seeing, a castle, and also a 9-hole golf course. Scotland being the home of golf, you know, you'd probably expect that anyway. But like I mentioned earlier, it's very much a community feel, so there's absolutely everything that you need on the campus. We've got over 2,000 rooms in our halls of residence. Our teachings there, state-of-the-art sports facilities, but we've also got a wide range of restaurants, bars, shops. We've got a pharmacy, a vegan shop, and a medical practice all on campus as well. In terms of our undergraduate degrees, well, thankfully, Ashley explained the sort of Scottish system a little bit earlier on. It tends to be 4-year undergraduate degrees, so probably something you're more familiar with. But we have a very flexible curriculum. So like Ashley mentioned, you can take multiple subjects in the first 2 years before then deciding whether you want to go down a single honours route or a joint honours route of 2 of the subjects. We have 5 different faculties, and one of the things that's, one of our selling points at Stirling is that we have an ultra flexible curriculum. So there's no boundaries in terms of cross faculty. So if you wanted to study something like sport and journalism and psychology, you could. It's very, very flexible. So the 5 faculties we have are the Stirling Management School, covering everything from marketing to management to economics to finance. Then we've got health and sport, so a wide range of different sporting programmes, sport and exercise science, sports studies, nursing. We have Faculty of Natural Sciences, which covers marine biology, aquaculture, cell biology, and various other sort of biological science based programs, as well as computing, software development and maths. We have social sciences, which covers things like politics, sociology, criminology, and last but not least, we've got arts and humanities. So that covers things like history, English studies, film and media, and journalism. So a wide range for you to choose from there. And like I say, you can actually mix between faculties too. In terms of the entry requirements, like Strathclyde, we are test optional and we have no end date for test optional. So we will be doing that indefinitely at the moment. We're looking for unweighted GPA of 3.0. And if you're submitting tests, we ask for one of the following that are there. So there's a lot of flexibility for you because obviously we're bearing in mind we're all in a global pandemic. For all of the applications, we'll come on to the different means of applying, but we will need an academic reference and also a personal statement, which is an essay about yourself, what makes you the ideal candidate for that particular subject. So like Ashley mentioned earlier, UCAS is obviously one of the most recognised application systems, and UCAS is actually the same application system whether you're applying to 2 Scottish universities or English, Welsh or Northern Irish universities. We all use the same application system. So you get up to 5 choices on your UCAS form. So if you are thinking of applying to more than one UK university, we would advise you to go through the UCAS system. We also accept the Common App at Stirling, and we also have a direct application. So we've got lots of different options for you. In terms of scholarships, we have an undergraduate international scholarship, which is £2,000 fee waiver off your fees each year of your 4 years of studies. And if you do have an exceptional talent for sports, we also have a wide range of sports scholarships, and the training facilities are absolutely fantastic. I would say though, if you're not into sport, I'm certainly not into sport, there is sport at all levels. It's not just elite sport. We have people and beginners like myself. There's various other funding that we have experts on in terms of FAFSA, the Sally Mae as well, so there is help available. Tuition fees on average are between sort of £15,000 and £17,000, and the living expenses are quite reasonable as well. It's one of the less expensive options compared to some of the larger cities. The other thing that I haven't mentioned is that Stirling last year was actually voted as the safest student city in the UK. So that's another thing to factor in. Average living costs, probably pretty similar to what Ashley mentioned earlier on. And in terms of accommodation, our accommodation is, we do have accommodation on campus, like I mentioned earlier, but we have this private accommodation in the city of Stirling too. They're all single bedroom, mixture of ensuite or sort of shared facilities, but the one thing to bear in mind is they're all self-catered, so there's no meal plans. So if you haven't mastered any recipes, now's the time to get a few recipes like beans on toast up your sleeve. Anyway, and that just involves me wrapping it up there. That's my details. I think we're opening it up for Q&A. We're going to pass back to Jeannie, but we're happy to take any questions tonight as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, University of Stirling, Scotland. And yes, we are going to move into the Q&A portion. I have some questions for all of our panelists here, but if any of our attendees have any questions, please use that Q&A function that you have on your screen, and we'll make sure that our attendees have a chance to have their questions answered as well. So I'm going to share my screen here briefly. Here we go. So here is the first question to get us started. What advice would each of you give someone going through the college search process? We're going to go ahead and go in the same order. So I'm going to throw it back to the University of Strathclyde to get us kicked off.
So my biggest advice is to do as much research as possible. Although Scotland is a much smaller country than the US, every single university gives a different experience. So Strathclyde, for example, is more city centre based, but you'll get universities that are maybe further up north. And if you want that more traditional Scottish experience with the scenery and the countryside, then you would maybe want to pick a slightly different university. So just make sure that you do your research on courses as well. Every single university offers different courses. You can find that information on UCAS. It's really easy to find just by simply searching for the course that you're interested in. And UCAS will give you a list of all of the courses throughout the whole of the UK that offer those particular subjects. So yes, that's my advice really. Just do as much research as possible. There's representatives at each and every single university, so get in touch with us. No question is a silly question if you do have any at all.
Fantastic, thank you. University of Melbourne?
Yeah, so I just remember when I was a senior in high school, something like 35 years ago, really being overwhelmed with all of the choices, and international wasn't even on the radar, so you have so many choices. So I think just really listen to your inner voice of what's right for you. And in terms of going overseas, since you might not have the chance to visit the campus, now that we take advantage of things like virtual tours, or we have opportunities to connect with current students. It's one thing to hear from us what it's like, but to also just have more of that experience, I think, is my best advice.
That's great advice. Thank you so much. And then University of Stirling, Scotland, what is your advice?
So probably a bit of what Todd and a bit of what Ashley had said. In terms of your research, when you are researching, it can, it's depending on the subject that you're applying for. Say you're applying for history. Well, there are thousands of courses on history. There's thousands of courses on business management. But what you as I said, you might just have 5 choices for the UK based on your UCAS form. So it's important to read the course content, because courses might vary different, like there might be a work placement involved with one, there might be the opportunity to have another semester somewhere else abroad. And so you really need to read the course content when you're doing your research. I would say that virtual open days are a godsend actually, and we're all more familiar with a virtual world unfortunately, thanks to the pandemic. And I think there's something that is here to stay. So I think it's quite refreshing for international students, because obviously we've always run open days, and it tends to be more local students that are able to come on campus and do that. You wouldn't buy like a $20,000 car or a $30,000 car without test driving it, and the same should apply to your university. You really need to, it's not just a case of looking on the prospectus or what have you, looking at the course catalogue. Like Todd said, speak to the current students that are there, speak to the current academics that are there, get a real flavour for the place, and that should help narrow down your search.
Fantastic, thank you so much. And I believe this was brought up earlier in the presentation as well, but when you all are talking about courses, you're talking about what a lot of times in the US we're referring to as majors, right? So that's what you're really looking at, is looking how the major is structured and comparing that to the different major or courses around. Perfect, thank you. All right, I have another question here, and that is, what is your favorite campus event or tradition? This is going to help us get to know a little bit more about those wonderful campuses you all represent, and we'll go in the same order. University of Strathclyde?
I think for myself, in my opinion, I enjoy the Freshers Week, and I know that the students do. So the week prior to when your classes officially start, you'll get the chance to attend a Freshers Week, which is just a week long of activities that are based on campus. So I think a couple of years ago we had a roller disco, we've had movie screening nights, we've had quiz nights. There's lots of different foods, free foods handed out on campus as well, and it's just a nice way to ease yourself into the reality that you've started your studies and it's a new environment for you. It's also great to make friends in the first week as well, so there's lots of fun going on campus.
Wonderful, thank you. University of Melbourne?
Yeah, so following orientation, and first there'd be an international orientation and then a general orientation, we've started a welcoming ceremony that's by degree. And so as you come out of the ceremony and head to the free food trucks, everyone gets a UniMelb hoodie. So that seems to be really popular. And then during the semester, there's a weekly farmers market where they're also, selling food, and there's like live music. So that's a great way just to kind of hang out and take a break from your studies.
Yeah, that sounds great. Anything with free food is always a winner too. University of Stirling, Scotland. What's your favorite?
Free food key. Yeah, free food's key. Mine is, and I'm sure Ashley would have this on in Strathclyde as well, but it's actually the Burns night. So I'm sure everybody's heard about Robert Burns, who is our national poet, but we celebrate on the 25th of January every year, and at Stirling we lay on a ceilidh and Burns supper. Not everybody's wanting to eat haggis. We do have vegetarian haggis now as well, but it's really a way to immerse yourself in the Scots tradition as well. So it's very popular with our international students.
Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on what haggis is for those who maybe don't know?
It's meat. I won't tell you what meat it is. It's meat and stuffing, and it's very, very, and spices. It's very tasty as long as you don't think about what it is. But yeah, it's a tradition. It's been, a long-standing tradition, and we read Burns poetry and have Burns songs, and like I say, it's a fantastic way for students, international students particularly, to soak up the Scottish culture.
Wonderful, thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot there with the haggis question. All right, I have another question for the panel here. And that is to give an interesting or fun fact about your school. So again, Strathclyde, will have you kick us off with this one.
So quick interesting fact from ourselves is our founder, John Anderson, actually used to accompany Benjamin Franklin to visits to Glasgow. So that's something we're quite excited about. Apparently they used to be quite good friends. So there you go.
Fantastic, thank you. University of Melbourne?
Well, just kind of remind that, our underground car park is a happening place with Mad Max movies. I think most recently, Amy Shark, who is an indie pop Australian artist, did part of her music video in there. So that's kind of our big claim to fame.
Fantastic, thank you. And University of Stirling, Scotland.
Well, I've got two that are about 20 years apart. So the most recent fun fact is, for those of you that have seen the programme Outlander, a lot of it has been filmed on our campus and in and around our campus. And Sam Heughan, who is Jamie Fraser, obviously in Outlander, recently got an honorary degree from Stirling. So that's fact number one. Fact number two, which is maybe more impressive, is that for those of you that have seen the film Braveheart, which is all about William Wallace, one of our national heroes, it was played by an Australian rather than a Scotsman, Mel Gibson, for those of you that don't know. And because Stirling is basically William Wallace country, and we have an on-site cinema, the world premiere of Braveheart was actually at Stirling University. So there you go, that's a fun fact.
Fantastic, thank you so much. There was a question that came in through the Q&A that aligns with one of the questions that I wanted to chat with you all about, and that is about the campus resources that you have for international students as well as third culture kids and others with different international backgrounds. So would you talk a little bit about what those resources are on each of your campuses, and then maybe specifically answer the question of whether international students have the opportunity to live with other international students, or if they'll be placed with the local students, or how that works on your campus in the residence halls? And University of Strathclyde, we'll have you go first again.
Yes, so we have an international student society at the university. So this is a great opportunity for international students to come together and essentially make friends and meet other people that are in the same position as one another, which is obviously a great support. So there's lots of different events and activities that go on within the International Student Society. So we'll take them out on day trips, excursions, get them more immersed with the culture if they're not familiar with it, and it's a great way to kind of settle in and make friends. In addition to that, from an academic point of view, we do have international study support service available as well. So with things like reporting structure, examinations, the differences in the demand of what's expected. And in Scotland, we do support students with that as well. And in terms of living with other international students, I think I touched on this on my presentation, but there is a screening questionnaire. So you can state as much as possible, put as much information as possible in your application about the type of students that you want to live with. So if you want to live with other international students, please state that in your application, and it will do our best to match you up with students that are in the same position as yourself.
Perfect. Thank you so much. University of Melbourne?
Sure. So first, I should say that we would love you to come and do a full 3-year degree. But if you decide that that's not for you, you also would have the option for coming for a semester of study abroad and exchange. So for all international students, whether you're coming for 3 years or just a semester, there's going to be a specific international orientation. Because we have such a high percentage of international students, nearly 40%, it's really about all of the support services, whether it's academic skills writing, peer mentoring, counseling, that are open to all students. Join the clubs to get to know other students. In terms of the colleges, which is what we call the dormitories, that does actually require an interview and a personal statement. So you could express an interest if you wanted to be, with domestic students, but it's going to be more about, the fit of who you're going to do. Interestingly, in Australia, whether in a college or a student apartment, you always get your own room. So you actually aren't going to be living with anyone else. So it's more about the structure and the makeup of the college or the student apartments.
Perfect, thank you. And just for clarification, you said that the languages is that what we call dorms or residence hall, you all are calling colleges in Australia.
Yes, they're residential colleges, yes.
Perfect,
great.
That's
the only option that comes with a meal plan.
Okay, thank you. And then University of Stirling, Scotland. We'll let you close this question as well.
Yeah, I'll just say ditto, yeah. Just the same as what they said. The same as Ashley, we've got an international student society. We also have international support advisors who help our students right from application all the way to enrolment and once they've arrived as well. And we also have, as soon as somebody has applied and got an offer, based on that intake, we set up offer holder Facebook groups so that students can start speaking amongst themselves, so that they can make friends before they actually arrive at the university as well. So it's very inclusive. Like I say, I've got 120 nationalities represented on campus, and we do have a lot of North American students at Stirling. So, maybe it's a home from home. And like I say, you don't necessarily need, just because I say it's Sports University of the Year, you can be like me and not get involved in sport. You don't need to.
Perfect. Well, thank you all so much. We are so fortunate to have this group of institutions here to help us learn about their campuses, as well as what it's like to be an international student in these different destinations around the world. So I want to also thank all of you who joined us today, whether you are catching this live session or watching the recording at a later date. We hope that you found a lot of value in it and that you'll look into these institutions while you're doing your college search. Please know that when you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey, and we would appreciate any feedback that you can provide on today's session. This is one of many sessions being hosted today, so please be sure to sign up for additional sessions. There's 2 more yet happening this afternoon. In about a week, you'll be able to find this recording as well as all of the others at strivescan.com/WACAC, and I put that in the chat for you all. Thank you so much and have a wonderful afternoon, evening, morning, whatever time it is where you're joining us today. Bye-bye, everyone.